Welcome to Bench to Bedside, a weekly series of live conversations about recent advances in cancer, from the research bench to treatment at the patient's bedside. And now, your host and the director of the University of Kansas Cancer Center, Dr. Roy Jensen.
Hi, I'm Dr. Roy Jensen, director of the University of Kansas Cancer Center. With me this morning is Dr. Anwar Saeed, a gastrointestinal medical oncologist at the Cancer Center. Dr. Saeed is a physician scientist, which means she treats patients and conducts research in the form of investigator-initiated clinical trials. Also joining us remotely to take your questions is Megan Peters. Welcome, Dr. Saeed. We often say physician scientists are a rare breed in the industry. Could you give us some insight about the life of a physician scientist?
So as opposed to clinicians, physician or clinician scientists deals with both worlds, the research aspect of the job and the clinical aspect of the job. And dealing or balancing the work schedule and life schedule to succeed in both aspects of the job could be challenging, and in many cases requires long hours of dedication and lots of patience and resilience. Having said that, I would like to emphasize that being a physician scientist is a huge privilege, because you're not only taking care of patients but also contributing to scientific discoveries and advances in cancer therapeutics. We do that by designing and initiating and leading investigator-initiated clinical trials and translational studies in collaboration with our bench scientists. So those are some of the unique aspects to the life of physician scientists.
So most, if not all, major cancer breakthroughs started NCI-designated cancer centers. And, of course, investigator-initiated trials play a key role in that process. Could you tell us, exactly what that term means, investigator-initiated clinical trial, and what makes them so important in the discovery process and in advancing new therapeutics for our patients?
So investigator-initiated clinical trials are trials that are developed, initiated, and sponsored by an investigator at an academic institution, as opposed to industry or a pharmaceutical company. And typically, those trials are trials that are early phase proof of concept clinical trials that are based on a lab discovery or a finding in a lab in collaboration with a basic scientist in that academic institution. Those trials are very important because they complement the pharmaceutical company data, and they provide an independent supportive evidence to the regimen or the investigational drug in question. In addition to that, I would like to highlight that a good portion of the large pivotal phase 3 randomized trials are based on data from early phase investigator-initiated clinical trials. And those trials are typically led by physician scientists who contributed significantly to the effort of the early investigation. And so as part of our NCI-designated Cancer Center effort in fighting cancer, encouraging and developing more investigator-initiated clinical trials is part of our fight and a crucial component of this fight as well.
So, Dr. Saeed, you've been very successful in being able to secure research grant funding to support novel approaches in immunotherapy combinations for our patients. And I'd like to focus on one of your current clinical trials that's looking at the combined use of immunotherapy with a targeted agent in gastric, esophageal, and colon cancers. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so this is the Camilla Trial, and it's a trial that I developed as an early phase clinical trial looking at combining an immunotherapy drug called durvalumab with a targeted therapy drug called cabozantinib. And cabozantinib, the targeted drug, is a drug that targets the vascular signaling pathway in the tumor. And the idea or the rationale behind combining those two drugs together is some preclinical and animal model data that showed that combining a drug that targets the vascular pathway and with immunotherapy enhances the immunotherapy effect and modulate the tumor microenvironment to be immune permissive environment. So this concept was validated clinically in other tumor types. So similar combinations have shown clinical benefit in patients with advanced kidney cancer, and recently based on a phase 3 data in patients with advanced liver cancer as well. And I have designed this clinical trial hoping that we will see good results in the group of patients with gastrointestinal malignancies. So this trial is focusing on patients with advanced gastric and esophageal cancer, colorectal cancer, as well as liver cancer. We have completed the phase 1 part of the trial, which is focused on looking at the efficacy of the drug combination as well as the safety profile of this regimen. And I presented the data at the American Society of Clinical Oncology meeting a couple months ago. And the results showed that the safety, the combination has a tolerable safety profile. The toxicity data is in line with the toxicity seen in other disease types. And the efficacy data was encouraging. Almost 80% or around 80% of the patients who enrolled on the trial had either stable disease or tumor shrinkage. And that's impressive in a salvage setting in patients, because most, if not all, of the patients who went on the study had failed at least one or two lines of prior chemotherapy agents. And finding an 80% control rate is impressive. So we're hoping, based on the encouraging results, we have expanded the study to part 2, which is looking purely at the efficacy of the combination in those disease types. So the phase 2 trial is a large trial that has 3 cohorts. One of them is focusing on advanced gastric and esophageal cancer, and the other one is on advanced colorectal cancer, and the third one is on advanced liver cancer. We recently expanded the study beyond our KU NCI designated cancer center to a few other NCI designated cancer centers in the nation, including Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, University of Iowa, Detroit Carmen Oaks Cancer Center, as well as University of Chicago.
So if you're just joining us, we're here with Dr. Anwar Saeed talking about the clinical trials that she designed and is leading. And Megan Peters is here taking your questions. Remember to share this link with people you think might benefit from our discussion. Use the hashtag BenchToBedside. So I'm curious, what other investigator-initiated trials are you working on, Dr. Saeed?
So I have focused my research effort on developing combinations that has the potential of modulating the tumor microenvironment to turn tumors that are inherently resistant to immunotherapy be immunotherapy responsive. And so within this theme, I have another trial called the RHYME study, and it's also a phase 1, phase 2 clinical trial looking at a triplet combination. So triple drugs. The first one is an immunotherapy drug called nivolumab, combined with a targeted drug called ramucirumab, which is a drug that's focused or targeting the vascular signaling pathway of the tumor, in combination with a novel agent that targets the DNA, the tumor DNA repair machinery, and it's called rucaparib. The idea behind combining those 3 drugs together is also stemming from animal models that has shown that similar drug combo leads to synergy and modulation of the tumor microenvironment to make it immunopermissive. And so This was also validated in tumor types like ovarian cancer and prostate carcinoma. So I have designed the study to focus mainly on patients with upper GI malignancies, mainly esophageal and gastric adenocarcinoma after failing the frontline chemotherapy. So this trial is currently ongoing at KU Cancer Center, and we are opening it very soon, later on this month, at the University of Chicago.
That's great. So Megan, I understand that we have a question. Could you tell us what that is?
Yes, we have a question. Where can I learn more about the Camilla Trial?
So you can go to, so the profile of the Camilla Trial is available publicly at clinicaltrials.gov. So if you go to clinicaltrials.gov and type in Camilla, or type in my name, Anwar Saeed, or one of the drugs of the trial regimen, cabozantinib or durvalumab, the trial profile is there, and it includes the regimen with the doses, as well as the inclusion and the exclusion criteria.
So just searching for Camilla, Camilla,
Yep.
will get you the trial. Very good.
Yes.
So last year, as a result of a lot of this work that you're describing, you were accepted into the academic GI Cancer Consortium, which is comprised of a very select group of investigators that's really distributed across NCI cancer centers nationwide. Could you tell us a little bit more about this consortium and how it helps to advance GI clinical trials?
So the Academic GI Cancer Consortium was developed with the intention of bringing the brightest minds in GI oncology from the most prestigious academic institutions together to brainstorm and design and develop high-impact proof-of-concept trials that could lead to larger trials that could impact patient care. I was privileged to have been nominated and accepted by the GI Consortium, and I have really benefited from learning from GI oncology leaders in the field. Since joining the GI Consortium, we have brought 2 clinical trials. One of them is focusing on a different approach for patients with early-stage pancreatic cancer around surgical resection. And the other trial is focusing on patients with advanced stage colorectal cancer prior to exposure to chemotherapy.
So are any of these trials that you mentioned available elsewhere in the region?
No, so regionally we have those trials open just at the KU NCI Designated Cancer Center, as well as our KU affiliated community sites. One important note to mention here is that it is hard to run those trials. I mean, running those trials require a complex, well-developed infrastructure of research support that not only includes experienced physician scientists who are able to develop, run, and oversee those clinical trials, but also well-trained nursing staff and research nursing staff who could administer those investigational agents and deal with the toxicities around administration. In addition to that, we also, part of the research support, we have a well-trained team of study coordinators and project managers, as well as regulatory research staff and data coordinators. And having all of those, experienced staff handy is not available at regional cancer centers apart from an NCI designated cancer center like our cancer center.
Well, thank you. So I have a special announcement today, and just to preface that announcement, coming up in the first part of November, we have Cancer Research Week, and that is done in conjunction with our research symposium that we hold on an annual basis. And as part of the festivities for that week, we give out the Directors' Awards for a number of different areas of cancer research. And I am very pleased to announce today that you, Dr. Saeed, are the winner of the Director's Award for Clinical Research this year as a result of all of these activities that you've described. And you have really done a fantastic job of moving forward, the science for our GI cancer patients, and you are an exceptional role model for our physician scientists who are in the clinic as well. So congratulations for that, and we look forward to continuing to see your career blossom and as it benefits our GI cancer patients. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Jensen.
So we're close to the end of today's episode, and I'd like to get from you, Dr. Saeed, what are some key takeaways that you would like to leave with our viewers?
I would like to encourage all cancer patients, regardless of the stage of their disease, to highly consider seeking expert opinion and second opinion at an NCI-designated cancer center like our cancer center. We have a comprehensive profile of clinical trials that ranges from trials targeting patients failing standard of care chemotherapy to trials targeting patients prior to exposure of chemotherapy, to trials addressing certain approaches around surgical resection. And on top of that, we also have well-developed high-risk clinics addressing the chemo prevention trials. So all of this is part of our strive to provide the best possible outcome to our patients and their families.
Well, Dr. Saeed, thank you so much for being part of this week's episode of Bench to Bedside, and thank you as well to Megan Peters. That is it for today. To learn more about clinical trials, visit kucancercenter.org/clinical trials. Join us next week at 10 a.m. for Bench to Bedside. Thanks for watching.